Alright, in this video I want to look at the trig values of the special angles. Now the special angles are 30, 45, and 60 degrees. And the reason they're special angles is because they show up in some triangles that occur frequently. So we're going to look at the 45, 45, 90 triangle and also the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And on those we'll work out the sines and cosines here. Let's see. So for 45 degrees, now both of these angles are the same, so we can just pick either one of them to deal with. Let's go with this angle here. So that's my angle. This is my opposite. This is my adjacent side, and this is my hypotenuse. So if I wanted to do the sine of 45 degrees, the sine of 45 is just going to be 1 over root 2. Opposite over hypotenuse. And you could leave that like that, or you could write it as root 2 over 2. It doesn't really bother me either way. A lot of the time in high schools, they say this is like terrible. It's not that terrible. It's fine with me. But sine is root 2 over 2. Cosine of 45. Cosine of 45 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse. But in this case, that's the same thing because the triangle is isosceles. So you get root 2 over 2. And so tangent of 45 degrees is opposite over adjacent. Well, that's just going to be 1 over 1, which is 1. So you should really memorize those three numbers there. Or I guess it's really only two different numbers, but you should memorize the sine and cosine of 45 degrees. Now down here on the 30, 60, 90, we've got two different angles to deal with. So first up, let's look at the 30. So for the 30 degrees, sine of 30, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of 30 is 1/2. And cosine of 30 is going to be, let's see, this side is root 3 for the adjacent, and the hypotenuse is 2. And then the tan of 30 is opposite over adjacent, so it's 1 over root 3. I didn't say it at the beginning, but you should have seen these triangles before and know that these are the ratios of the sides here for 30, 60, 90. So that's the trig values for 30. Now for 60, we can do those pretty quickly after we've done the 30s. We could just remember what we did before and swap sine and cosine, but let's don't do that. Let's actually look at the 60-degree angle here. Sine of 60 relative to 60, root 3 is opposite. 2 is the hypotenuse. For 30, or not 30, for cosine of 60, we're looking at the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Well, 1 is adjacent to 60. The hypotenuse is 2. And for the tangent of 60, that's going to be opposite over adjacent. So that's root 3 over 1, or just root 3. So again, that's three values you should memorize. We're going to come back and talk about these special angles again, but definitely these are things you should know. One other thing I want to mention, depending on the kind of calculator you have, you might use a calculator at some point and get the sine of 45 degrees. These numbers are important. A couple of things you should know. I'm going to just write it in here. The decimal value of these things, square root of 2 over 2. If you put that in your calculator, it's going to give you 0.7071 ... And if you do square root of 3 over 2, that's going to give you 0.866. and then that keeps going. It's important to know those because they come up, and if you have a calculator and you put a number in and you get 0.7071, it would be good to recognize that that is root 2 over 2. All right, I think we'll stop this video here.